You talk about a scam. We got to get that Allentown film. We got to find out where that's going. I know that wasn't just played here in Racine. I'm sure other communities are getting played the same tune, and their aldermen are probably sucking at the bit too.
Gosh.
So it's a scam.
You know, a town with money's a little like the mule with a spinning wheel. No one knows how he got it, and danged if he knows how to use it. Mule. The name's Lanley, Lyle Lanley. And I come before you good people tonight with an idea. Probably the greatest.
You're going to get a whole lot of information. You're going to know an incredible amount more than you knew before about both the design and the financing. And if you like what you've heard, you'll be in a position to start moving forward on...
Oh, it's not for you. It's more of a Shelbyville idea.
Now, wait just a minute. We're twice as smart as the people of Shelbyville. Just tell us your idea and we'll vote for it.
Two things. The first thing is that southeastern Wisconsin can accept one of these. The numbers aren't really there for 2 or 3 in southeastern Wisconsin.
All right? I tell you what I'll do. I'll show you my idea. I give you the Springfield Monorail. I've sold monorails to Brockway, Ogdenville, and North Haverbrook, and by gum, it put them on the map.
So now you're seeing them, they start to make the ice here. The ice is only about 3/4 of an inch thick. So they set it up for hockey. You can also do Disney on Ice, ice capades, those kind of things.
There's nothing on earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail. What'd I say?
Monorail.
What's it called?
Monorail.
That's right, monorail.
I was really inspired by a great plan, and we really feel like Phase 1 probably is that great plan we need to reinvigorate the county and the private sector in this project.
Here we are again. Welcome back to Talking Racine. I'm Dr. Ken Jorgen, your host. This is Mr. George Myers and Mr.
Howdy.
Jim Spodek, our producer. And tonight we're going to discuss, surprise, surprise, the Arena Project and Convention Center and Hotel and whatever else they want to throw in down there on the old gas company site. What we're talking about tonight is the $600,000 Phase 1 portion of this project that the city is proposing for us.
And it was supposed to be, if I can read
Go ahead.
The PowerPoint slide from the prior meeting. This was supposed to be, the end result of the $600,000 was the initial cost estimate, financial and environmental feasibility. That's what it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. The next one is final construction bids. That's Phase 2.
Yeah.
Just get you an idea. So we were take us right up to the point where we say, okay, go or no go. That was what we were supposed to be presented with.
Right.
Well, we would like to show people what's actually happening. I mean, it's looking like they're going Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and they're going to be very reasonable and let us know how the money's going to be spent. But we think it's a little trickier than that. We think they're going to squeeze into this next $3.5 million without a go no go. It's going to be a if then type of proposition.
They changed it from no-go, go to no-go to if-then. That's a new one on me.
Yeah.
But I think what it's going to be is a trickling of this money all out along the way, and then, gee, this looks good, this looks good. There's going to be no vote, and I think it's because there's such huge opposition to the arena.
Yeah, and it's an impossible project.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Well, and to the cost of it. I think there's a lot of people who are in favor of or open to the idea of an arena. I'm not totally opposed to it.
No.
I don't want to pay for it. Neither is anybody else out there who's a taxpayer. You know, if there is a private development interest that comes in and says, this is a great idea, we want to build this for the city of Racine, we can all benefit, great, but that's not happening thus far.
No, and if you get right back to real fundamentals, projects like this do not build a city. A city doesn't build around this.
Anyway, are you ready to?
Yeah, let's take a look.
This is a
little bit of his change from the go no go to the if then. So this is his pitch. This is Palanek, city administrator.
Right.
This is the one that came from
Rio Rancho.
to sell an arena out there.
Yeah.
We've had
He's done it to them. He come up here to do it.
Do it to us. He ain't playing.
And rather than thinking there is in fact a very magical sort of thing in which it's all be perfectly packaged and will all come to you all at once and it's simply yes or no and then it all works, I think it's a lot more about a whole series of kind of sequential, linear points at which we give you the opportunity to completely understand in every detail aspects of this project, whether you like those aspects, and what the tolerance is to move forward with certain aspects of it, and whether you do or not. For instance, at some point in this financial process,
See, this wording, we're going to look at certain aspects of it. Now,
Right.
wait a second. The end result of phase one was supposed to be initial cost estimate, financial and environmental feasibility. That's what we were supposed to get.
Right.
So that we
Exactly.
would know whether we want to spend anything on going ahead and getting phase two, which is final construction bids.
Exactly.
Well,
So how do you piecemeal? The point is, they couldn't give us a good enough sales
Right.
pitch at phase the 600,000. So now we're going to try and piecemeal your way through that. But how do you piecemeal through
Well,
the construction bids?
in fairness, they are
Okay.
talking about it, bringing the cost estimate, capital model operations hotel here, blah, 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 on the June
All right,
27th
it's
meeting.
all right.
But there's no mention of the environmental study.
Well, wait a
I'm
second.
anxious to see if that
Just
comes
his-
up on the
Just
27th.
his talk there. When you're constructing something, oh geez, we're going to pay so much for a roof. And then next meeting, well, guess what? The foundation, this is a great deal on a foundation. We had 4 bids. This guy came in the cheapest.
Right.
We'll grab this. Well, well, now we got the roof and a foundation. Then the third one, well, let's talk about the seating that we're going to have in the arena. How much is that going to be? Now you've got all these things out here. The aldermen are like, I mean, most of these aldermen, a lot of them can't get to 10 without a couple extra fingers. This is difficult. This is very difficult.
Well,
I'm
that's
not
right,
trying
and
to-
you don't, and to be piecemealing it like he's saying he's going to do it is just silly, because you've either decided you're going to go and you're going to do all those things
Right.
you talked about,
Right.
Tim, or else it's a no-go and we're not going to do any
You're
of
going to
it.
remodel a kitchen, George, and they come in and he says, well, you know, the linoleum's going to be the countertops this much,
Yeah.
that cabinet. Oh, did you want a garbage disposal? You know, I mean, well, this is all going to cost. Well, what's the total? What's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
total?
we need to know
See,
how much the faucet and everything's going to be
that
before we go
total,
with
I
any of
think
it.
Well,
what's
we-
happened is that number went through the roof, that 40, 50, 60. That thing is shot up sky high, and there's no way for them to bring that to the public without an outcry of, you know, toss the bums out.
Well, we want to see what this $600,000 was spent on, too. I mean, this initial cost, that's pretty damn high.
Theoretically, we're through phase one,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and
money's
That's
been
what this
spent,
meeting's
and
about.
we're getting-
So the 600,000 has been spent. I think the public should demand an
Where did
accounting
it go?
for what did you spend it for, how did you spend it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That we should be privy to that information.
All right, let's see
All right,
what else
he's
he's got to
he's
say
going to
here.
continue on with his pitch.
you may look at us and say, well, we like a lot of what you're saying, but there's a couple things in this that we just won't tolerate you going beyond. That is, it can't cost more than X, and you better not ask us to put any more than Y as a sort of burden on the citizen taxpayers of the city of Racine. And maybe Y is 0, maybe it's some other number, and that's yet to be determined, but that's part of this process that you ultimately have to go through.
Notice there he's talking about putting a burden on the taxpayers of the city of Racine. It may be 0, it may be some other number. What'll they tolerate? You know, we don't know. We can push it until they scream, and then we'll back off and push a little harder.
Well, and that's he brings out a good point there, because our standing has been, and that of the Taxpayers Association, is that this should not be a taxpayer-funded project.
Absolutely not.
So we can tell them right now, no, it's 0.
Right.
And our communication with the public out there has been overwhelming.
Yeah.
Hell no. You know,
Nobody
I mean,
wants this.
nobody wants to spend the
They
money on
cannot
this.
bring this.
They can't
to
afford
They
it.
cannot bring this to the citizens because they know it's an overwhelming no.
Yeah.
And it's over and over. You hear it. I mean, how many times have you guys heard this?
Right, and if the taxpayers do have to fund it, that means it's not making money, which means it's not building the city.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
a true city building project comes in and it just builds the city, and the taxpayers don't have to put a thing into it.
Right.
So I want to sort of dissuade some of the idea that the process will be in the next couple of weeks, this whole thing is done and you're going to be able to make a decision up or down. It looks a little bit more like you're going to get all.
That's exactly
what it said, Mr. Balanek.
That's what we were told it was going to be.
It says right here, initial cost estimate, financial and environmental feasibility, and the next step is final construction bids. So that's what it
But you
was
don't
supposed
do
to
that
be.
until you have a yes or a no
You don't get
decision,
the final construction bids until you've decided you're going to do it.
You're going to get a whole lot of information. You're going to know an incredible amount more than you knew before about both the design and the financing. And if you like what you've heard, you'll be in a position to start moving forward on making a bunch more decisions and seeking out other partnerships and continue to move this process forward.
Making a bunch more decisions.
Yeah.
Rather than the final decision to go ahead with the thing, it's a bunch more decisions piecemeal, like you guys are talking
Yeah, I
about.
don't understand how they're going to do it. You're not going to make a decision
Whole
about the foundation
confusion.
and then about the roof and spend a whole bunch of money because that was $3.5 million to get
Right.
those final construction bids. You're not going to spend a whole bunch of money over here, less than $3.5 million, but you're going to still spend a lot of money to
Right.
find out about the foundation or about this or about that. No, we want to first know whether we're going to do it, period. And one of the things he did bring about is his partnerships, and I hope he better be talking about real partnerships, which means
Yeah.
somebody coming in with money. It's not a partnership when a contractor comes in and says, I'll do this for you for $2 million. That's not a partnership.
Exactly.
That's just a contract. A partnership was when somebody else comes in and says, I've got $30 million to help you with this thing. That's a real partnership. Somebody comes in from the private sector. Okay.
And if not, obviously you'll tell us something otherwise. But I think that's more what this process looks like. And the hope is then that if that continues in that manner, you might get to a point in the next several months, beyond July, moving probably toward December of 2017, in which there would be something more like what you were traditionally thinking of as go, no go. That is the point at which you would then be willing to spend the kind of money that's involved in the full design, the full moving forward of creating the GMP or guaranteed maximum price, and really taking that step that would take you toward completion of this project. We'd like you to sort of follow that sort of sequential process to make sure that you can become very, very comfortable. So that looks a little bit more like if all those things happen, then we're probably in May of 2018, at which point the actual project could begin.
When he talks about getting up to the go, no go, I'm perfectly happy with what he says there, as long as it's within that 600,000.
Right.
Yeah.
If he's still got, let's say they've only spent 400,000, or we're spending another 200,000 over the next 6 months until December to get to the go, no go, then that's fine. But if he's going to dig into the next, if he spent the 600,000, we're going to be digging into the next $3.5 million, which we think is what is going on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where they're going to try and leak into that so they can continue to do whatever they're doing with all these contracts.
Here's the
and
thing.
bids.
It's the RDA, Redevelopment Authority. They can go in. They've got access to that fund. Those are non-elected officials, and we're going to go through and we're going to tie those officials up to this project and how they're connected. But they can come in and take that money and do this and leak this money all along and get those contractors on board. And when you heard him say, he wants to put the shovel in the ground in May of 2018.
That would be the start. That would be the start of phase 3.
Yeah, it would be phase
That
3.
would- for
And he's
phase
talking
2, you got
about
all the
phase
bids, right.
2. But phase 2 is going to go for this next 6 months. On July 11th, when those aldermen are pitched something of a partnership, that just means that we just open the floodgates to spend money and get these contracts together for December. That says we're all ready to go. Just sign up, just
That's
let's
right.
go.
That-
And we're going to, taxpayers going to get on the hook. There's
Yep.
going to be no developer. There's no developer. There hasn't been one. It's going
Maybe
to
we
be a
could get the
taxpayer.
same people that are developing Machinery Row. They're doing a bang-up
You know
job
what?
down there. That's looking good.
We want to be the person you choose to
We
help
want to
build
hurry
that
up and
thing
get into
out.
Racine
Yeah.
on that toxic waste site, and after I seen all these other
Jeez.
great developments that came our way,
Oh,
this
man.
it's almost scary.
And then you're probably looking at a project completion in spring of 2020, which would allow for events to begin at that point in time, and then ultimately for a hockey season to begin with the hockey season of 2020.
We were kind of wondering the other night, why the heck is this being postponed to December? And if you listen to what he's saying, Well, you're not going to get that up or down decision like we told you were going to get after
Right.
the $600,000 was spent. That's not going to happen.
That's right. We're going to go through project two, phase two,
Phase
and
two.
spend $3.5 million and hopefully get there by December. In which case, we're going to start construction and be done by the spring of
And they're
2020.
going to make the aldermen feel like, oh, geez, we had 3 bids on the roof, and we took the lowest bid. So, I mean, our taxpayers should be happy. I mean, they are so buffaloed. It is scary almost, because I've talked to some.
So think more in terms of if-then, sequentially, getting lots of information and being able to have the chance to sort of distill this information and take steps along the way that will take you where you need to be.
Yeah, you heard that, steps along the way, if-then type of thing. In other words, we're going to kind of wiggle our way through phase two
Where you need to
and,
be.
and spending money there. Now,
We aren't going to say we're spending $3.5 million.
No,
We're just
right.
going to kind of
Yeah, you don't hear anybody
do it
talking
on
about
a
money.
QT.
Nobody
yeah,
talks about money.
Yeah,
Well,
try
they're
to
supposed
think.
to talk about it on the 27th, but I don't think they're going to really explain.
Well, let's look for it.
Yeah.
We're,
Well, we'll
we're
have a
ready
show
for it.
on it.
On the 27th, if they come through and they say, no, we're not spending anything outside of that $600,000 for the next 6 months, then you know what? They're back, in as far as I'm concerned, at least
Yeah.
back on legal ground. I'm not going to say good graces, but it's close to that because they're at least sticking to
Well,
the $600,000.
Right, if they actually
But
do
if
that.
we find out that they've already spent the $600,000 and this is just a ploy to get into that $3.5 million and do it piecemeal,
Anybody want to bet on this?
yeah.
Which side do I get?
Well, and it's up to you to deal with your aldermen and us to deal, and we'll be dealing with it too to make sure. And we're looking for that accounting of $600,000. All right, because
Yeah.
it better not all be spent because that's what he's talking about
Right.
spending over the next 6 months until December is 600. That's 600,000. And if he's talking about
Well,
outside of that, which we think he is,
Yeah.
that's why we get back to get the accounting of the 600,000, and we want to know what else they're spending.
Very excited, looking very forward to what you're going to hear tonight. And I'm going to turn it over now back to Amy and to our professionals to really tell you exactly what we know now about this facility.
This next slide illustrates what we're looking at in terms of moving forward with the process in the near term. Next week, we will have another RDA Committee of the Whole meeting where we'll discuss the cost estimate that has come through, the capital model that we've put together for you to look at, operations, and the hotelier team update. So we'll be ready to make those presentations to you. On July 6th, we would like to have another RDA Committee of the Whole meeting where we'll have hopefully recommendations to City Council. And then on July 11th at the Common Council meeting, we would like to look at consideration on moving forward to finalize the partnerships that make up our financial model and make up a lot of our operational issues. And then in December 2017 at the Common Council, we can have an if-then vote to move to phase 2 if we are following along the progression that Jim laid out to you before. Early on.
That's the one, we're going to have this in December, this phase 2. No, it'll be phase 3 because they're going to have
Yeah.
phase 2 done and they're going to have spent the money. And then at this point, well, it's all done. All you got to do is vote away to, put this arena. Let's start digging.
Well,
know?
that's where push really comes to shove. There is a limit on how much we can borrow.
Well,
And-
why don't you get it, before
Yeah,
we move into that, explain a little of that. Jim.
Yeah, okay.
Listen
There's
to
a limit
this.
on how much we can borrow. It's 5% of what called our equalized value. We have approximately $3 billion in value of all the property in Racine that we can tax. And in the Constitution, it's Article 11 of the Constitution, Section 3, if you want to look it up, it expressly limits municipalities to go into debt of 5% of their equalized value. For us was $150 million. We're sitting at $101 million now as of 2017, which gives us another $49 million that we can go up to.
If we want to max out the
If we
credit
want to
card.
max out
Right.
the credit card. Actually,
Right.
it's up to 160. So we have another $59 million that we can actually go into debt. So if they come up with a $65 million project, which it's looking like it's going to be, they're violating the Constitution to actually go in and borrow that money. The city would be violating the Constitution. The alderman would be held responsible for it. I presume the mayor would be too, because he would have approved it. So that is what we're facing right now. You might call it a constitutional crisis.
Just not thinking. That Common Council is just not taking the time to really critically think about what this arena could actually do. It's this pie in the sky, it's going to be wonderful and all the good feelings. Look at the numbers.
The pictures were beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the powerful thing if you went to that meeting. If you look at those pictures of the thing, that's the sales pitch. If you took those pictures out of it, you're not, eyes going,
and I'm going to put
bug-eyed,
this on the
look at
screen.
this stuff.
This is one.
And show the bill for what the environmental remediation would be alone.
Here's one. 32% of the collected revenue goes toward debt in the city of Racine today. 32%.
No, that's
No one would
service.
borrow you, if you were a resident, no one would borrow you a loan for a home, a loan for a car at this level.
If 32% of everything you earn was going for your debt.
No one would borrow you another nickel. But here in the city of Racine, somehow they feel they can maximize this. I just don't see it.
Have we got anybody else explaining to us where our logic is faulty?
Sense of urgency that was originally involved with this project, but I'm interested in hearing more about what kind of competition we're looking at from a regional standpoint for this type of space, just given the timing change with surrounding communities, what's going on where we might need to make some other considerations.
Had a look on her face like, did I do okay with that question?
This is one of your RDA
I think I read
numbers.
the question as you gave it to
That
me.
was a setup, folks.
Yeah, that's what you call
Just say what it is.
small.
She was advised in advance, somehow coached in advance to ask that question, and now you're going to hear the mayor's prepared response. I mean, it was just flat out pitch the ball to the mayor, give a nice underhanded softball, and the mayor's sitting with the bat ready to hit the home run. Here we go.
Look at her face. Did I do good?
Did I do all right, Mayor? That's what
What we know of right now is that our neighbor to the north, Oak Creek, is doing a study the same way we are, and that they're looking at a convention center hotel study plan as well. And Kenosha has recently purchased 9 properties downtown and set aside TIF money for a potential opportunity.
Wait, Oak Creek. Wait, now I did a little looking. I could not find
You're
anything.
not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to believe.
Just believe. I can't find anything in Oak Creek. I mean, Oak Creek, if you go up there, take a ride around Town Square, I think they call it. Take a ride to Oak Creek, and they're worried about Racine. We're going to beat Racine to the punch. Just take a ride up there.
Oh, they're building like crazy up there.
Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. And I followed Oak Creek a little bit.
And it's not as a result of any kind of arena or
smaller
convention
than we
center,
are.
no.
They've done just great things up there, and they're very successful.
Yeah.
Kenosha. Now he talks about they just took down 9 buildings in Kenosha, and they're ready to explode with an arena too.
Oh, let's see what Kenosha has to say about that.
They did a little news thing on
they?
Kenosha. Yeah, they did, and they kind of broke down.
Business district has several apartment buildings the city would like to see disappear. The city has earmarked $25 million to buy up properties and turn them into something new. Monday, their common council will decide if it will spend the first $7 million to start buying them up. A plan that includes turning this empty lot into a parking garage. As of now, the city doesn't have set plans for the space.
So whether it becomes new housing or whether it becomes commercial, we're open to people's ideas.
The studies, if you look at them carefully, they'll show you 2 things. The first thing is that southeastern Wisconsin can accept one of these. The numbers aren't really there for 2 or 3 in southeastern Wisconsin.
Trying to whip a scam really through to take the $3.5 million, set these contracts up in the next 6 months, and then come to the Common Council with this shovel-ready project that's going to stick the taxpayer.
You talk about a scam. We got to get that Allentown film. We got to find out where that's going. I know that wasn't just played here in Racine. I'm sure other communities are getting played the same tune, and their aldermen are probably sucking at the bit too.
Gosh.
So it's a scam.
You know, a town with money he's a little like the mule with a spinning wheel. No one knows how he got it, and danged if he knows how to use it.
Mule.
The name's Lanley, Lyle Lanley. And I come before you good people tonight with an idea. Probably the greatest.
You're going to get a whole lot of information. You're going to know an incredible amount more than you knew before about both the design and the financing. And if you like what you've heard, you'll be in a position to start moving forward on.
Oh, it's not for you. It's more of a Shelbyville idea.
Now, wait just a minute. We're twice as smart as the people of Shelbyville. Just tell us your idea and we'll vote for it.
Two things. The first thing is that southeastern Wisconsin can accept one of these. The numbers aren't really there for 2 or 3 in southeastern Wisconsin.
All right? I tell you what I'll do. I'll show you my idea. I give you the Springfield Monorail. I've sold monorails to Brockway, Ogdenville, and North Haverbrook, and by gum, it put them on the map.
So now you're seeing them, they start to make the ice here. The ice is only about 3/4 of an inch thick. So they set it up for hockey. You can also do Disney on Ice, ice capades, those kind of things.
There's nothing on earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail. What'd I say?
Monorail.
What's it called?
Monorail.
That's right, monorail.
I was really inspired by a great plan, and we really feel like Phase 1 probably is that great plan we need to reinvigorate the county and the private sector in this project.
Well, I think we've done it again this evening, hey?
Yes.
Well, I hope so.
Say goodnight, George. Say goodnight, George.
Good night.
Say goodnight, Jim.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks for being here. We'll see you again soon. Be vigilant.